Everything. Hello, good night. Hello, everybody. Let me take this sound. The music is on. Hello, everybody. Boa noite, meu amigo, minha amiga. Tudo bem? Eu, Carlos Eduardo, do Ponto Miami, Ponto Orlando. Eu estou hoje numa noite especial. And everyone that is listening and is wishing for me to speak English, I will do the whole show in English. But just now, for this 20 seconds, let me address the Brazilian audience to explain what's going on here. Okay? Amigo, amiga, hoje é um show especial, hoje vai ser um ponto a ponto internacional, por isso ele vai ser totalmente em inglês, tá? Eu peço o seguinte, que vocês que estão assistindo, vocês podem fazer as perguntas em português, façam os comentários em português, eu vou estar recebendo aqui e a partir daí eu transmito para os meus convidados, tá? Well, good night. Let me explain to you. My name is Carlos. I live in Miami, but what I do is I'm a content creator for Brazilian visitors to Miami and Orlando. And luckily enough, I had a bunch of good and amazing friends there tonight with me here. Let me just share with you, because the last time we were together, and I have a picture right now here, and that's the 5 of us together, something like 20 days ago, in the first day of the social media marketing world in San Diego. It was a lovely time there. And then after that, everything turned around. But we're here to talk only about positive things. And I will start presenting the friends that are with me here. And as my mom and my dad taught me really well, I'm a gentleman. I will start with the lady in the room. She is an amazing blogger. She runs a blog called The Castle Run. I love that blog. She is a powerful Instagrammer, a mom for 2 beautiful boys and a great Dan. and she's an amazing friend, my sister from Orlando. She's Lisa. Hi, Lisa. You're already on.
Hey, Carlos. Thank you so much for having me tonight. We're so excited.
Good. I'm really happy to. It's a honor, a pleasure to have you here and to present to you to the Brazilian audience. It's great. Well, let's move on here. And the other guest is what I call him my favorite millennial. Okay, he's a really good friend. He was with me in the trip that we did to California. We spent some days in Disneyland together. We had an amazing time. He runs a blog called Guide for WDW, and he's one of my favorite Disney photographer. He's my brother from Kentucky. And here is Colin.
Well, that was probably a kinder introduction than I deserve. Token millennial, though. I'll take that. That's pretty nice. I don't even like my own people, so I'll take that.
and buddy, it probably is a good time for us to hook you up with a Brazilian girlfriend. So let's try.
Hey, that never hurts. I'm all for that.
Let's move on. I would like to present now a guy that is another big friend, but he's a restaurant connoisseur, also a foodie. He runs an amazing site called Here with the Magic, and I will explain you briefly. It's this site that you have scenes and videos from amazing places in Disney, not only Disney World, but also from other Disney resorts, and you turn that scenes and you contemplate, and it probably is the best one and the best site for this time right now. But he's also my brother, and he lives in Orlando, and is Jason, my big friend. Hello, Jason.
I feel like I shouldn't say anything else. How can I top what you just said? And I'm pretty sure my wife is watching, so we should stop the Brazilian girlfriend conversation.
No, it ended with Colin.
Yeah.
And Michelle will forgive you. It's okay.
last but not least, he actually the responsible for me to have these three big friends that I just presented. He's a mentor. He's someone that he doesn't like the word influencer, but he influences me a lot. He's a Disney connoisseur, probably one of the best ones that I know. He's he runs my favorite podcast. He is responsible for my favorite Disney community, or my favorite community at all. And he's my brother and friend. Hey, buddy, how are you?
I was going to try and say Buon Notte, but I'm going to butcher it, so I won't. But thank you so much for having me, man. It's so good to see you.
But you're saying pão de queijo with Brazilian cheese bread and caipirinhas a lot. Okay, I'll put. Let me show. Look at what a beautiful screen. You have the four of you all together here. Let me go to the active speaker mode here. No, this one. Let me explain one thing to start with you guys. There is a word in Portuguese that is usually we commonly used to say that is a word that only you find in Portuguese, which is saudade. Saudade means there's no translation. Actually, I don't know any similar word in English or Spanish or French or Italian or Swahili, but saudade means the meaning of longing, the meaning, the feeling. Sorry, the feeling of longing, the feeling of missing something. Okay, and I'm pretty positive that the whole audience here is missing Disney a lot. So I will start this conversation with you, and I want to know from you which is your biggest saudade from Disney now. Who is the first?
Ladies first. I agree with you. Ladies always first.
What do you miss the most, Lisa?
I mean, there are 1,000 things as a local that I feel like I've always taken for granted up until this moment because I had constant access. But I think that in the day-to-day, the things that I miss the most are the sort of background sounds and sights that I was able to see from my house on a regular basis, just because they were the din of my everyday. The fireworks at night. I can hear the electrical water pageant in my room at night. I can't anymore. I don't wake up to the ferry whistle and train whistle anymore. And I think that, even more than like walking down Main Street, I'm missing sort of the constant reminder of Disney in my backyard.
Who's the next?
Well, I guess if we follow the same order, I guess it falls to me. But how do you follow that? Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. So I'm not local, so I was actually supposed to fly out tomorrow to come to Orlando. So I kind of missed the opportunity to kind of just be there and be away for a week and be kind of that escape. But I think we all kind of feel that from time to time. In the parks, though, I know a lot of people feel the same way. It's just going to be Flower and Garden Festival. I mean, we're going to lose potentially, 4 or 5 weeks of it. And while they may change that up and extend it or something like that, it's going to be hard to see. Like where I had to move my trip, and I'll be down first week of June, but I mean that's like 2 or 3 days at most, because I guess it ends like June 1st. So somebody may know better than I do, but that'll be hard to see because a lot of people, at least the spring crowds, will really miss that because that's kind of a huge thing every year for me.
Jason?
There's so much. I'm not quite as close as Lisa, but I think I might be like a mile further from her. So when I hear the fireworks, there's a slight delay as compared to when Lisa hears them. But she's right. You could set your clocks by the booms from the fireworks, and its absence is really weird. And it's strange to say that the lack of gunpowder going off is in some ways like saddening, but it is. And I think when it hit me hardest, I think it was yesterday. There's a drawer where I keep my keys and my wallet, and I also keep my magic bands in this drawer. And I went in to get my wallet, and I reached for a magic band because it's so reflexive. I would always take it with me, or just put it on. I've been working on making sure I get a band tan this year, so that's how I know I'm wearing it enough.
It's not working out all of a sudden.
I know, but it was really sad. It was, I mean, it hit me at that moment. I can't go, and I think that's the thing. As a local, you realize all of a sudden that you actually can't go to your happy place, and that's tough. But we have this community, and I knew this community was strong, and I knew this community was amazing in terms of the shared love, but I was not prepared for what we're experiencing now, because this is beyond anything I expected.
Mongello's son.
So the obvious, easy answer for me is the boathouse / Disney dining. So,
by default, that's always
this
the
body,
answer.
right? This body is one that I've worked on. I've really nurtured this for years. But I'm saying that half jokingly, right? Because for me, it was less about how often I went to the parks, or even just the ability to walk down to go to Disney Springs with my family or friends. But it's the comfort. Right, it's the comfort that knowing Disney was there, and it was always open, and it was our happy place, it was our safe place. And when Disney closes, that's shattered, right? So and I think that's why it's hitting a lot of us hard, because it's one thing to hear about closures in another country, even another state, but when it's Disney World, it's this place that we go to escape all of that. I think the reality really sets in, and I think being local. Certainly feeling it possibly even more.
It's got to be weird to see.
Yes, go ahead, Colin.
I was just going to say, it's got to be weird to see as a local, too, because you drive by the parks and you get used to seeing all the crowds and stuff and all the people on iDrive and like all the different places, I-4 and places that a lot of you probably don't even go to much. But just so much of it changes overnight, really.
Before the lockdown was in effect, I had to drive through property to go somewhere. And it was before Disney had closed completely, but still, the roads were empty, and there was something very unsettling about it. Again, because of I think where it was, seeing dozens of buses, queued and parked in Magic Kingdom parking lot, seeing nobody on the road, seeing an empty Magic Kingdom toll plaza. Was very, very disturbing, and it was very sad.
But Lou, is there anything that surprised you? Something that you were not expecting missing, and suddenly you realize, oh, that is precious to me now. Was there anything special?
Yeah, it's like everybody said. It's the things that we almost take for granted, right? The ability to go. A lot of times some of us who are locals would say, oh, let's get together. We'll meet up in Disney Springs, or go for Sanaa bread service, or go eat here. Usually it's around food, but you understand the point. We just can't do that anymore. And it's not about the meals. It's that as locals, this was our park, meaning not our theme park, but it was the place that we gathered with friends. And when that's taken away and when that's gone, I think that's really one of the saddest parts about it.
And I think there is an identity factor to it. I mean, somebody said to me as this closure was kicking in, like, we're not Disney locals right now. We're just people who live in Central Florida. And I think there's some truth in that. Like, obviously we're
that hit me hard. That was shocking. Yeah. I just live in Orlando now.
Yeah.
I don't live at Disney anymore.
Right? We'll still be Disney locals, but at this point, like, I was sitting on my lanai late last night, and if you look past my backyard, Magic Kingdom's about a mile away. So there's normally a sort of a pink glow in the sky. But there's normally like a pink glow in the sky, over Magic Kingdom where those lights are, and the night sky is dark, and it's just a very different. It's just a very, very different sort of backdrop to our existence. And I think, while I'm kicking myself or taking for granted that sort of turn on Main Street when you can see the castle that I did so frequently, at the same time, I think a big part of what I miss is just the fact that like our community exists there. I think a big part of being down here and you see your friends as often as you do because everybody's out and about so often in Florida weather and we're all going to the same place. We're going to Disney. And now that the parks are shut down, you don't really, you don't just not have the parks, but you don't have that communal gathering place.
It's almost weird. Like we all always talk about like in shows and in articles and stuff that when you buy an annual pass, there's always this feeling of like, oh, I can be there whenever I want to, any day of the week. And then all of a sudden it's kind of like for the first time in years, you can't do that. It's like that's kind of a hard reality to swallow sometimes. It's just one of those things. It's like, what do we do now? And it's kind of weird because like we're so used to just for me, you can jump on a plane, you can be there in a couple of hours if you really want to be. Now it's just kind of like, well, that annual pass sitting in my wallet, it's one of those things. It's like, well, it's just kind of sitting there now. But inevitably it'll be back, but it's just different for sure. It takes a little piece of that nostalgia factor away to an extent.
It's interesting that the things that we used to complain about are now the things that we miss. Like we miss the crowds, we miss the noise, we miss, that energy that brought to this area.
I miss the trash cans. I miss the sound of the trash cans as much as I hate the sound of the trash cans when I'm filming. Like just those little things, or the little wheels, like the wheels on the carts that make all that noise, like stuff like that is just quintessential.
The sad thing is, we all knew what he was talking about. Too.
It's the things that you're right. When the things that used to annoy you feel like they're missing, that's when you know it's pretty bad. But then also everything else is unavailable too, right? So not only at first when this was all announced. I think there was this feeling of, well, at least we have the resorts. At least the resorts will be open, the restaurants, and then of course those closed too, as they needed to, and then everything else, so that's that. There's this other additional level that's happening, where not only are you denied access to your happy place, but also all the happy places from like what at least used to be considered the happy places. And I think for me, what I'm discovering is that the happy place is in here. The happy place is in our memories, and the happy place is in the community. And not to say that I'm not looking forward to the day that it all comes back to life and we get to go again. But it's incredible how people have rallied within this community, and Disney lovers everywhere, how they rallied and have ensured that flame continues to burn, that passion for Disney and everything that represents. That's really special, I think.
Carlos, I'm going to be the first one. I'm going to be the first one to tell you that I miss the Brazilian tour groups. I miss the singing and the chanting. You know what? Wait a minute. I miss the Brazilian tour groups so much.
Oh my gosh! Remember who gave that shirt to you?
Hold on.
Oh my gosh!
I'd start singing the ole ole ole, but I don't want to.
My friend, I love you. Let me tell everybody the story behind that jersey. What happened is that we all went to this to the D23, to the convention, the D23 convention last August, and there was a big rumor that everybody was talking about the potential Brazilian pavilion in World Showcase. What I did is that and Lou was carrying in his booth. He was carrying this live show, actually doing a long broadcastings there. I said, you know one thing, I will give Lou a Brazilian jersey, and what I said to him one day before, I said, Lou, it all depends what's going to happen tomorrow, but I think tomorrow you're going to wear that shirt. But actually it did not happen, and thanks God he's wearing today. Amazing.
It comes full circle. First
circle, my friend. First circle. And let me just say hi, because there's a lot of people showing up here in the comments. And And Victor Veras, which is a good friend of mine, he's a Brazilian that lives in the Canary Islands. Okay, and now he went back to Brazil because of the whole thing. But he's saying Brazilian groups are the best. Julie Delangio is saying hi, Lou, Lisa, Jason. What about me and Colin?
We didn't make the cut.
And Eric, Lou, Eric, you remember Eric from?
Yeah.
Eric is saying, I recorded that, Lou. Carrie is also here. Bruno Alexandre Pompeo loved the shirt. Michelle Knapp, that must be Jason's wife. She's here. Thank you. Donald is also here. Let me see who else. I saw Selby. Selby is a good friend from Brazil. Probably one of the. He studies comics and Disney. He does that in a university's ambience. He's one of the guys that we need to talk sometimes.
That's awesome.
Also, who else here? It was Allison. Allison was also here. My friend Allison. He was saying hi to everybody. Well, thank you guys. And let me just explain to you, because what I'm seeing, that most of them, that there's a lot of people watching and no questions up to now, which is a good sign. They are enjoying our conversation, but feel free to send questions. We're more than happy to answer you here. I ask you about what you miss, and let me address. Think that tomorrow is the first day they're gonna open up everything. Which is the park and the thing you would love to do from the moment they open up the resort again? Start with Lisa.
So, I mean, I've been reduced to my classic roots in all of this. I'm heading straight to Magic Kingdom, and hopefully People Mover is up and running again, because that's where I'm going to go.
Oh, I love People Mover too, and that's, I miss that. I miss the If You Had Wings version that they have in that. I miss that. And I can hear that that sound effect again. I miss that a lot. Colin, my friend.
I don't know. Just because of the time of year, I almost have to say Epcot, especially with that park changing so much right now, just kind of getting in those final things, like the last year of Flower and Garden Festival, kind of the way we know it as it is now, how the park sits, how it is now. I'm not necessarily, the festival's not going anywhere, but I mean, as far as the ambiance of Epcot, it'll probably be changed drastically by this time next year, potentially, or at least heavily under construction. And I'd love, that's where I'd go first. That's probably where I'll head first when I actually go down to Orlando in a few weeks. Well, hopefully in a few weeks.
Buddy, Jason.
I'm going to Epcot for sure.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not as easy to do as it used to be, but it would be Impressions de France for me.
Oh, really?
There's something about that attraction in that film that just takes me back. You know, so nostalgic, so heavily nostalgic, almost embarrassingly nostalgic for the time for some of those scenes. But yeah, and I think just because, you know, I know Lou's gonna destroy all the other good answers, so I'm gonna do Impressions
the
France,
usual.
and I'm gonna do it in the evening because, you know, it's only showing in the evening, and then I'm going to join my friends for a meal at Takumi Te, and we're gonna time it so that we're eating at Takumi at like, I don't know, probably like 7:30, 8 p.m. right, and we do the chef's table, of course, have a nice 2.5 hour meal at least, and then when we leave, the park will be cleared out. It'll be quiet. The music will still be going, but, you know, the ambiance will be strong, and we get to walk out of the park after hours. That's what we're gonna do.
Doesn't change my answer. It's gonna be that one.
Lou,
so
my
I
friend.
agree that that's the way to end the first day. But the question was, where do you go first? So I, too, am going to Magic Kingdom. I'm going to stand in the middle of town square. And I know I'm going to grab my popcorn first, but I'm going to stand in the middle of town square and I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to listen to the sound of the horse-drawn trolley coming by and the Dapper Dans in the distance and the ragtime music and look down that street at that castle that we take for granted. And I am just going to take in like that moment of being there, like that reveal, like the first time you see the castle, right? It's that there's that feeling. We're going to have that again. Like literally we've never been able to experience that before. Like a second time, we're going to get to do that again. And then I'm going to take my popcorn and go on the TTA and then head on over to Epcot because Jason's buying dinner at Takumi Takeout.
To everybody, he just invited us. He just invited us. There's some messages here that Bruno Alexandre Pompeo is saying, the good thing is Tom Brady will play near Orlando. Yes, Giselle will be around. Giselle will be around. And he also say, we miss Disney. Bruno probably, Bruno with this name is a Brazilian fellow. Mike, our friend Mike is saying, oh, the TTA. Kevin.
It's funny.
Kevin.
It's funny that that's the attraction we missed too of them all. Like it's so nostalgic.
But it's funny, my friend. It's for a lot of people. It is the TTA is in, and for a long time, and it's not now. It's not because I'm older. TTA was my favorite since the beginning. There's something about that I really appreciate. And let me just say here, Angela is also saying people mover. Eric, my friend Eric, and he's asking, do you think Disney will reopen EXA? And I think that he was trying to say exactly as it is. My friend,
in the castle. So
well,
so
the castle will be different. Yeah,
bit,
you're sure.
Yeah, it's going to be different, which will be kind of odd too, because it'll be like it changed overnight in an odd way.
What do you guys think, Lisa, Jason?
So I think most of the construction crews are also home right now. I don't think they're doing a ton right now. Just judging, and I mean this is a complete guess, but I mean there are some construction projects just sort of in my neighborhood, not my Magic Kingdom neighborhood, but my like other direction neighborhood. And they all progressing slowly, and there's just like two guys on the job doing stuff. And I don't know if like there's a similar approach happening on property where there's just like a couple guys getting some painting done over the next number of weeks. So I certainly don't think there's, large crews of construction workers, fixing attractions that are down and building Guardians of the Galaxy and Tron and painting the castle. Just like they're not anywhere. And particularly, obviously, a lot of you probably know that as of 11 p.m. tonight and for the next 2 weeks, there's a stay-at-home mandate in Orange County. So certainly, only essential workers would be able to be out and working and out and about. So, to the extent that they have made progress up until now, I think that's going to need to stop as of tonight for at least a couple of weeks. I think there was. This is hearsay to some extent, but I did see that something came down that said that Disney is not exempt from that stay-at-home order. So to the extent that they've made any progress at this point, I think it would have to stop tonight for a couple of weeks at least.
Jason?
I don't know. I'm hoping... I was really hoping that they'd make a ton of progress. So like, with the parks will be closed, this is a great time to make progress. Then of course the economic reality and the public health reality of that is it's not possible. I don't know. I think that I'll take it however it is. I just want to be back in. all the projects will get going again. Maybe the birthday celebration or the anniversary celebration gets pushed a little bit, but it'll come back to life. I mean, I think that's the important thing, and I'll be happy to have it in any form or fashion as soon as possible. What about you, Carlos?
I'm really hopeful because if we take other things that happened in the past, usually they surprise us after that. So, and everybody says no, Disney probably will be thinking about the balance sheet, and I'm deeply confident that they are big Disney lovers, mainly when working there, and they really love what we love, and probably their approach is to not to surprise in a big way, but to bring back as soon as possible and as powerful as possible the experience they all love.
All the animatronics are coming to life.
Yeah.
After hours.
Just have to have the tablet.
Finishing everything.
What do you think, Lou?
So I want to preface my answer by saying that lest we forget, we're talking and somewhat half joking about the impact on us as Disney fans, the impact on us as locals. I can't go to Boathouse. I can't hear the fireworks. I can't do this. This shutdown is affecting real people, right? There's thousands of college program cast members that were sent home, like pulled off stage and sent home within 48 hours. There are people that have lost their jobs in the food service industry here in Springs, and operating participants and cast members as well. All those construction people that were brought in, those contractors, have been let go, and they have families, and some have moved here, and that really impact, it hurts my heart to know that this is what is happening to those people. So yes, I'm disappointed that, we all thought, the parks will be closed. They're going to finish Guardians of the Galaxy in like 2 weeks. And then it's not going to be that way. And I don't care. I don't open it up tomorrow. Look, man, I can swing a hammer. I can grab a paintbrush. I'll pitch in, but we know that there are skeleton crews there, maintaining the parks, maintaining the animals at Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
But when you drive by someplace like the Contemporary and the lights are off, all the lights are off, not even, the balcony lights that just start, that comforting glow of the yellow lights, they're off and there's nobody there. And that's super sad. So my very long-winded answer is I don't care what it looks like. Open it up, man. I'll take it, however it is. And I just hope that those people are able to bounce back and get their jobs back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to answer, go ahead, Carlos.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and kind of in a different light, I do think they'll do something on the first day, like they did on the last day. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a grand celebration at each of the parks or something like that, just to kind of kick it back off again on a positive note, and so people aren't kind of in that funk still. But we'll see. I hope they do something, because they did a great job with the last night in Magic Kingdom for sure.
Yes, and one thing that for me is really important to explain to the Brazilian audience is that in Brazil you have some labor laws that prevent some things, and here is different. Here it is the employer has the ability to say bye bye. I don't for at least for a while. I cannot pay for your job, and the person will be without earnings for a while. And to everybody, it's important to know that here in U.S. and then the same thing in Brazil, we still don't have a clue, an idea of when that's going to happen. The only thing that we're doing is the same thing that you're doing in Brazil, and you should do everywhere else that you still have the problem. We're staying at home. So I think that you guys in Orlando are in the same boat as us here in Miami. I'm in my 15th day of reclusion. I'm locked. I'm in my personal lockdown here. We don't have a mandate here in South Florida yet. There's one only for the city of Miami, but not for Miami-Dade County. But it is. We're starting to get used. I will say that, but we still don't have a clue when that's going to finish. Sometimes I hear a lot from people. I'm still hearing. Do you think that I can travel around the first week of May? Can I go to Disney? I cannot say that. I can't. Nobody can say that. So
yeah, I mean, we rescheduled for the first week of June. We're still like, well, we'll see if it happens, but there's no guarantee really at this point. Like,
but one thing that I agree is that for the first time that they open, and I will not even care, and I don't care about if it's because Eric just commented with me in one of the comments. He said, do you think you're going to have the show's character greetings and things? No, I think it will be gradual. I think that the wise thing to do is to do a gradual opening of the experience. You're not going to have the full time experience, all the experience, but they have to do it gradually. I think that's what they're trying to do in Shanghai, from what I heard, is that they started opening the downtown Disney area there, and then they're moving slowly, and I think that's the way that probably is going to happen around here. And I'll appreciate if it's open. They open only one thing in Disney Springs. I will drive from Miami and just to be there, just to enjoy it, to smell it. It's smell, and it's talking. We're talking about smell again.
And on a similar note, I'll say, just being completely honest, like up until all the travel stuff started coming out with the airlines and stuff, we had full intentions of just going and staying at our resort. Of course, the situation got a whole lot worse, but just being there and being a part of it was going to be just something fun to do. I mean, there's so much to do with the resorts, and I think that's where Disney might start. They may start with a rollout of the resorts, reopening those back up to get people lodging and stuff before they just flip a switch and open the parks. But maybe we'll have to wait and see, but we'll see what they do. It'll be interesting.
You know, I am not like, I'm the farthest thing from an alarmist or a sensationalist, and I'm getting questions from people, as I'm sure all of us are, in terms of what are our thoughts. Because as of right now, you know, April 1st is still sort of the date that Disney sort of has on the calendar. We know that is not going to happen. The park that shall be not named down the street, that dark place that begins with a U,
place where the light doesn't touch.
Exactly. But Universal has put April 19th as a reopening date, and they may know something we don't know, but I'm trying to be realistic, and I hesitate to comment. I have refused doing some media interviews because I don't know anything, and I want to just be clear. But where we are right now, let's call it April 1st, just to make it easy on the calendar. You know, that this lockdown is in effect. I cannot imagine them in 2 weeks having the parks prepared, the cast rehired, training redone. They literally have to stock all of the foodstuffs from zero. Like, there's so much that has to happen. I cannot imagine that 2 weeks from now they're going to open up, it's going to be like Frozen. We're going to open up the gates and everybody's going to come in. I think a more realistic time frame might say, look, we have to start thinking beyond April and then sort of take things, we're literally taking things week by week, because here in Central Florida, it's getting worse before it's getting better. And again, that's not being alarmist. It's the reality of where we are.
And Lou, that's one thing that is important. And we never talk about ideologies and politicians. That's something else. But it's what I need to address, particularly for people in Brazil, is that we're something like 10 days ahead of you guys on what's going on. And
It's a long 10 days, too.
yeah, and it's starting to get different. I will not raise any alarm. I'll just say that now you're starting to hear cases that are closer to you. People that thanks God they got infected and they're okay, or people that are in need to go to the hospital, and people that are in ICU, in intensive care. So it is already close to us. So there was a strange feeling a few days ago that one thing, I think we dodged the bullet. We're gonna be fine. And well, we're gonna be fine, but I think the next few days will be hard for us here in U.S. And the only thing and that's why it's really important to say is that I don't care about how long the discussion about how long we should, but at least for now, for these coming days, stay at home. That's the thing we need to do, and thanks God, here at home we're doing that in amazing spirit. I do have 2 teenagers with my daughter is 18, my son is 14-year-old. They're amazing.
And apparently a stock of Brazilian cheese bread.
Oh yes, loads of Brazilian cheese bread.
Why are we not doing this at Carlos's house?
Yeah,
we're not allowed there.
Oh,
and I understand.
UPS still works.
No, like I identify with and sympathize with people whose perspectives haven't shifted yet to where ours are, because I think about where my mindset was like a week ago and how different it is today, just from the things that have changed in our area. And I think back to like the last weekend that the parks were open. It was announced on Thursday that the parks would be closing, but that they didn't actually shut down until close of business on Sunday. And so there was, to some extent, an influx of people sort of coming in for their final couple of days. And I'll be fully forthcoming, and the rest of you can be too if you'd like. I was among them. I was at Epcot on Saturday. I was at Magic Kingdom on Sunday. I don't necessarily regret being there to shut the parks down and say my farewells. And we were as smart as we could be about distances and hand washing and all that good stuff while we were there. But I did see on social media and elsewhere, like, people seeing the crowds in Magic Kingdom on Sunday and reacting very strongly. And now being a week and some out from that time and being in the place where we are today, I understand that reaction now, because there's like a sort of almost social stigma to contact these days. You go to the store and you're kind of apologizing as you kind of go around widely around each other and in the aisles and trying to open doors with your elbows and not touch things. And when I'm on the walking and running paths in my neighborhood, we're sort of giving each other wide berths as we're walking to try to get some fresh air, and on and on. But, point being, like, those of you who are watching elsewhere where it hasn't gotten bad yet, I understand your mindset, because it's where I was a week ago, and I'm seeing what's changing around me. And I'm also looking at places like Queens, New York, which is terrifying, which is a place that I know very well. So yeah, I think that, like, mindset changes very quickly as this grows in a place that's closer to you.
Like, perhaps a good example of that is, like, me and Jason were actually out in San Francisco, 3 weeks ago now? And
it was
there was such a different response to it out there than it was. See, I'm from Kentucky, so I jumped on 2 flights home, and I got back, and they're like, nobody's done anything. And it was really strange. And then 2 weeks later, it's just like it's a pattern. It's like it's just slowly getting to different parts of the country and different parts of the world, really. And everybody has that time frame where they kind of start to react. But it's weird to see it from one perspective in California. It's farther along, and then all of a sudden you see it at your doorstep and they haven't done anything yet. And it's just kind of one of those humbling realities where it's like, just like Lisa's saying, it's like everybody adapts to it at their own time frame, but it's just kind of the mental thing catches up with you eventually.
Yeah, you can see the wave off in the distance, but till it crashes down and hits you, you don't sort of feel the impact of it, right? So
Exactly.
This was something that existed somewhere else, and we were watching it. Look, admittedly, some people were laughing about it. It's toilet paper and it's hoarding this because it wasn't reality. So when we were in Epcot and we were in Magic Kingdom, that wave had not crashed yet. Now we look back and go, what were we thinking? And now all of a sudden, like even I, with my family and the things that we're doing and the things that we're not doing, saying to my kids, no, you know what, your friends shouldn't come over or you shouldn't go to this person's house because now it's here. Look, at one point, this was, we were watching on TV what appeared to be the beginning of a bad zombie movie, right? The red letters and the virus is hitting and it's spreading over the map. But now it's literally in our backyards, and it's impacting, from a Disney perspective, this place of, there's no more secure, comforting place in the world than Disney World. And when Disney says we're shutting our doors, that for a lot of people was a very eye-opening experience.
And it's always one of those things. It's like a lot of people will judge the severity of something by when Disney closes, like when the hurricanes come and stuff like that. And it'll be like, hey, I won't be upset about it, or I won't be worried about it until Disney closes, and then it hits, and it's like, oh, it is real. Disney did close. But it's true though. That's how a lot of us judge it, at least in this community.
Jason, and for you it's a little bit strange, because you're dealing with two realities, because you're dealing with the East Coast and the West Coast because of your job.
It's weird, and Carlos, you were with us when we kind of in that first early stage of the wave, right? That kind of beginning of March, actually last couple days of February, we were in Anaheim. We were at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, and that feels like forever ago. Wasn't it wonderful?
It's scary. It was amazing.
Even then, we knew there were these handful of cases that were popping up in California, so we were being vigilant. Disney was becoming vigilant. We went through so much sanitizer.
When you could find it, yeah.
And then we went to Social Media Marketing World in San Diego, and where Lou's talked about the poor high five guy. Like, he just had the worst week ever, because no one wanted to high five him. And then Colin and I went up to San Francisco for work, and you could see it even within that week. Things began to shift, and the level of seriousness began to rise. But even still, even when that felt different from normal reality, it got worse. And now I think Lou's mentioned it, Colin's mentioned it in terms of seeing the wave and kind of knowing that there's, and you've mentioned it in terms of us being a week or 10 days out from South America, but we have in California, they're in the thick of it. In our my day job is veterinary hospitals. We have, the last count, it's probably changed since we've been doing this. Last count was 18 people out. 18 people out of workforce of about 90 to 100 people. 10% of which are already remote, and so they're not even in the Bay Area, so they're getting hit hard. And they've been living with.
Say that they don't all have it.
No, it's everybody being safe and taking it seriously. Right. So people are
just to verify
if they have a sore throat or a cough or certainly a fever, they're not coming to work. If they've been with someone who has symptoms, they're not coming to work. If they have somebody to take care of at home, a lot of schools are closed. I mean, all schools are closed. Daycare is closed. It's affected everybody, regardless. It doesn't matter whether you're sick or not. Life has just so dramatically changed that even people who are needed in essential services and essential businesses, even they are having a difficult time being able to actually work, because they may have to take care, maybe a single mom taking care of a child. They may have a parent at home who's in a vulnerable community, and so they want to make sure that they're not bringing it home. So the level of seriousness, I mean, you guys are right. The level of seriousness is going to keep ratcheting up. It's good to see people taking it really seriously. And God, Disney shutting down was a shock, but it was such a necessary shock. And we are so fortunate that I think that they made that decision, that the company made an incredibly difficult financial decision. A decision that wasn't financial, a decision that had financial impacts, severe financial impacts. But for them to make that decision, it certainly, undoubtedly saved lives by closing when they closed. It absolutely saved lives. So I think Disney needs to be commended for that, and I think companies all over there who are doing this similar things in terms of shutting down. I think they need to be commended as well. And by golly, I'm going to support the heck out of them when they come back online, and hug a cast member when it's okay to do so. When we're allowed to touch people again, and high fives and handshakes. I'm really looking forward to that day, because there's a lot of people who are in a lot of pain right now, who aren't necessarily sick, but they're in pain and they're suffering in different ways. And we're going to get through this as long as we all continue to be vigilant and serious about it.
It's good that you note that, because it's like one of those things, if you know me, I'm always trying to be the positivity guy if I can be, or at least I try to be. I'm not always good at it, but it's one of those things like I saw on Facebook earlier. It's like, as soon as some of these businesses reopen, every restaurant's going to have a 2-hour wait. Every store is going to be packed and selling stuff off their shelves because people are stir crazy. Every golf course, anything that you can do, as soon as it reopens, people are going to be thrilled to be able to leave their house. I think Disney's one of those things too.
And I'm through that, because now I'm waiting desperately for the opening of the parks, because that's the Kumite dinner with Jason. So it's going to be amazing.
And you owe me another trip. Well, you need to come back to the West Coast. You need to go back to San Francisco, because Carlos, who also took it I got to tell you, Carlos and his family probably took this more seriously early on than most people, maybe anybody I know. So much so that this guy turned down. He had planned to leave San Diego and join us in San Francisco for a day at the Disney Family Museum, and we were going to go to my favorite sushi place that night. But out of an abundance of caution, he went home, and I think that was the right thing to do. And you got to come back. We're gonna.
I promise you that.
Everyone's invited. Everyone listening, joining in, they should all come to San Francisco. Go to the Disney Family Museum.
San Francisco.
We'll eat loads of sushi. It'll be wonderful.
And remember the wise words from a big friend of mine, who Mongello, who said once to me, you should go to the Disney Museum. It's like our Mecca. So yes, and we need to go there. And but one thing, what a good way to I would not say to close a phase, because that's too strong, but to fill up our hearts in a good way, to be prepared for these days. Like the days that we had in California, both San Diego, both Anaheim, and I'll tell you, you guys, Lou and Lisa were not with us during those days in Disneyland. We were so having so much fun there. It was great, and
it was a permanent grin, is all it was the whole day.
Yes.
It was work. It was hard, difficult,
yes. Awful.
It was awful.
You would have hated it.
but the days in San Diego were amazing too. Not talking about the show show there, but being with you guys there, and I was smiling one of these days, thinking about the conversation we had from the ice cream parlor after the dinner, the Nobu dinner, from the ice cream parlor to the hotel, talking about banana split. banana split show, banana split show, and things like that. And that always brings me, there's things that I cannot repeat here right now. But even look into the application that was the scheduler for the show. I was laughing so hard because you used to spell it differently in a way that I cannot repeat here. I cannot repeat here at all. No, I cannot.
But Carlos, we're talking about the things that we miss, that we take for granted, right? Whether it's going to Disney World, hearing the fireworks, having an upcoming trip, going out to eat, but we almost took for granted the importance of human contact, right? Like, this is great, being able to connect virtually, but not being able to see your friends, not being able, look, I'm not the only person that has a relative in the hospital that I cannot go see, but that day-to-day, look, I talk about the handshake and the hug because it's important and it's meaningful, but now all of a sudden, like, it hits home, like, the handshake and the hug is coming back in a big way, baby, when this is all over, because I miss it. And I think we all do. I think we all sort of miss that.
Oh, yeah. The little things, even, and sometimes I go out here, I'll go out for a walk. And this is a really friendly neighborhood. So usually when you walk, you get someone in the same side of the sidewalk. There's always a good morning, good night, how are you, and things like that. What we're doing now, we're trading sides. We're going to the other side of the road not to go next to the person. And that's one thing that I have to say. I already heard some comments saying, "Oh, this is a totally lack of love." No, the opposite. What we're doing that because we really care about everybody. We have to do that. So. But
that's right.
But we're gonna go through that, and let's try to turn to and it's not that it's a negative, but that turn to a brighter side. And we start with something here. Donald asked me something that I cannot. Well, it all depends. He's asking me, not to change the subject. What they call Santa? What do they call Santa in Brazil? Donald, Santa is a saint, is this feminine, because we do have santo, which is the guy, the saint, and Santa when is a lady. So that's it. So I don't know what a context that you're bringing that question, but I'll answer you in the right way.
I am so glad that you told us that, because certainly I would have offended a Santa at some point. And it would be terribly embarrassing to create an international incident.
Adding to the list of people you've offended over the years. So
he is.
First time won't be
he
the
does have a
last.
list. He is checking it twice.
So President can't wait to get back and start hugging cast members.
But it's a good thing. It's typical. That was typical Jason. That was typical. And there's another thing I have to, and because probably half of my audience will kill me if I not say that. I'm from a place in Brazil called, my state is called Santa Catarina. So it's Saint Catherine, okay? Which and sometimes we dearly refer to the state as Santa, but it's nothing to do with Santa Claus. Is the feminine of Santa. So Donald, I think I answer your questions. My friends, I would touch in one thing, and then it's probably one of the most difficult questions I will give. But one of these days, someone asked me about which word was your favorite Disney moment, and for me, it was so easy. It came right away, and I explained to him that I could remember the day, I could remember what happened. It was in July 11th, 1980. That was the first day I entered Disney World, and I went. There was only Magic Kingdom by the time, And the moment was I was sitting down in Main Street, USA, and that robotic voice came through the speakers and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm proudly to present," and then present the Main Street Electrical Parade, and then the lights went off. I still give me the goosebumps, and one thing that I said to everybody, those are the Disney moments that, and I have a list of that is just a matter of experience. So I would like to kindly ask you guys, I hope was easy as for me, which is your Disney moment that you have in your heart that you could say?
Are we doing ladies? So I'm sure 1,000 could come to mind, but in this moment, what's coming to mind first is, I went to Disney regularly as a child, and then there was kind of a gap in there when I was very busy in college and law school, and as an attorney early on, where I wasn't doing much of anything besides studying and working, and I certainly wasn't in the parks very much at all. And then I got married and had my kids, and my dad got sick and we lost him, and not long after that, certain period of time after that, my mom and I kind of decided to do this like get out of Dodge trip, where we just got out of Maryland and we went down to Florida and had our first trip in a very long time down to Disney, just to kind of be in this, this place, and away from all the stuff that we've been dealing with. It was the first time that my kids had been down to the parks, and the first time that I had been in the parks as a family with my own family. And my mom was there as well, of course. And we stayed at Boardwalk. And there was a lot of things about that trip that were very special to me. It was October. It was kind of perfect weather, and Boardwalk is my heart resort. So it was just a very special place to be, and spending a lot of time in Epcot and Food and Wine, all that good stuff. But I just remember being out on the Boardwalk very early on in that trip, and I was just sort of standing outside on the boardwalk. I think there might have been like a street performance going, and the kids were watching it, and the smells and the sounds and the breeze in the air, and everything was just like perfect. It was like that perfect Disney constructed moment where like every detail is perfectly orchestrated to just envelop you in magic and a worry-free environment. And something just like clicked in that moment that felt right. And, obviously it became a more real thing over time after that. But I think it was that moment where I was like, this is my place. Like, this is where I want to be. And it grew into something real from that over time, where actually we really do live here now. But I think it was sort of that moment where it sort of crystallized that this was my place. When we came back, after so many years, to get out of Dodge on that trip.
Good.
Does it go to me, or do we
go to you, my friend?
Well, I hate to be this guy, but it's kind of one of those go with me here stories, because it's I'm always one of those, don't laugh at that, Lou. It came from your show.
Go with me, yeah.
It's one of those things. It's
go with me in two first.
I know I said that. Exactly. And that may fall into this category too, but I immediately go, every time somebody asks me this question, it's one particular experience. And I'll preface it with that it wasn't about the attractions themselves, but rather the people that I was with and the family that I was with and the cast member that really made it all possible. Because I think it's important to note that oftentimes the memories that we have with the people that we're there with are far more important than any attractions that we ride or any experiences we have at Disney World. It's more about the memories we create with people we care the most about at the end of the day. But to start this story, if you remember, I don't even know if they still do this anymore, but when they used to have early entry, they'd limit it to a certain amount of attractions. And they'd put that rope up over between Fantasyland and Liberty Square in that corner, and then people would make that mad dash to Splash Mountain or Thunder Mountain. Well, we happened to be in the front of that line because we we've been doing this for 20 years. I mean, we know how to do it. And we were waiting there, and as soon as they dropped the rope, a ton of people just ran, which immediately they don't want you to do at Disney because obviously it's a safety concern, that kind of stuff. But there's this cast member in front of us, and they just kind of took their time and walked out through there. And about halfway across the bridge over towards Rivers of America and that kind of stuff, they turned around and looked at us and just kind of whispered to us, "Do you want to be the first riders?" And we're like, "Well, of course we want to be the first riders, but I don't know where this is going to go." And they're like, "Okay, hurry up and follow me." And they took us down the path to the right that goes across the wooden bridges and stuff over in there. The smaller of the two paths, they don't typically use for like opening procedures and stuff. And they run us to Thunder Mountain. And as soon as we get there, they're like, "Oh, we're not going to go in the queue. We're just going to take you in the back." And we're like, "Okay, what's this going to happen?" And they walk us up there, and there's an empty car standing there. The entire thing's empty, and they're like, "Pick her up." So we just jump in a row, and they're like, "Okay, you're going to be our first riders for the day. Nobody else is riding with you." And we ride the attraction. We get back to the station. Everybody's standing there looking at us like, "How in the world did you guys get an entire train to yourself?" And it was just the look on their faces was priceless, and we had an incredible time on that ride. And then they tell us to ride again. So they just close the bar, and they send you through again. As soon as we get done with that one, they're like, "How do you feel about Splash Mountain?" We're like, "Well, this went well, so we're going to say yes." And the same cast member grabs us and ushers us out the exit, into the exit of Splash Mountain, pulls up an empty boat and sticks us on an empty boat by ourselves on Splash Mountain and sends us through on an attraction ride through. And it was just one of those things, it's like, what just happened when we got done with it? And it's you just have that memory forever. And it's always been one that sticks with me. And really, it was more about the thought than anything. I mean, we would have ridden those attractions either way. But that memory that I have with family is something that'll never be replaced. And that's just really special to me. It always has been.
Jason?
I don't know that I can fairly answer this question in terms of it is almost literally like a favorite child kind of question. I have a memory that I have an emotional experience, and it's going to sound weird, but even amidst negative things, even like when our youngest son got lost in Epcot, or you would think like even when bad things are happening, there's something that Disney does to make it positive. And so the first time I went to Disney World was in 1977. And I went with my grandparents, and now I live here. And when I drive past, we stayed in Fort Wilderness back when we first came here, and every time I drive past the turnoff or past the entrance to Fort Wilderness, I have to pinch myself. I've said it to my family so many times they probably are sick of it. I'm like, can you believe that we're here? And it's because there's so many memories that I have that are just full of joy. And I'll give you an example of like where it's kind of a negative turn positive. And this was actually in Disneyland. When I lived in California, we were going to Disneyland a lot. We were just outside the entrance, where in Orleans Square, where the Pirates Queue kind of meets up with Frontierland, that transition area there. And there was a child he just had this terrified look on his face. And it was, I don't know how old he was, maybe 5-6 years old. And he just had this kind of silent like cry. I mean, it was like no one in the world is seeing this except for me. So I'm getting ready to go like talk to him, and like 3 cast members descend upon him. And the look on the child's face was he was so relieved. And and that connected with me in such a strong emotional way, because I knew what it was like to be a parent who had almost lost a child in Epcot, and when the rest of the world is carrying on their merry way and your world is falling apart, Disney still does Disney. Like, they still know how to make you feel safe, and they know how to make you feel like the part of the family, and that everything will be okay, and they embrace you. And so it's not just about them providing this experience, the attractions and the shows and the resorts and the landscaping and everything else. It's this seriousness about actually making people feel better, even when it's the darkest time for somebody, that they can manage to make it feel better. My strongest memories are the ones where it's the cast member interactions. It's the cast members having these like little, in some ways these aren't little interactions, but they're not noticed by other people. It's the cast member pointing out where to stand in line to see Mickey. It's the cast member offering, because this is before COVID-19, when my wife had a sore throat and was coughing, and we were in line, and the cast member offers her, like, she was getting tea, and the cast member says, "Do you want some honey? And I can give you a lemon." And she's actually she's taking care. Now she's taking care of my wife. You don't find that in other places, and so for me, it's not a single memory. It's like this string of memories that extend from when I was 3 or 4 years old to now. And the heart of that is the cast members who bring the Disney spirit to life. I know that's probably a cheat. I was probably cheating. I was supposed to say like the first time I saw Illuminations or something like that. It's what Terry already would want me to say. But
just gonna scold you for saying that.
Lou, my friend, and what about you?
So I'm going to apologize in advance for getting emotional, because I'm a crier and I'm going through this very weepy phase in my life. But it's true what they say about you never forget your first time, right? Like your first kiss, the first time you fall in love, like the first time you see the castle. And I still remember the first time I walked into the boathouse and I saw that oyster bar and my life. So, no, but you're right. The memories I have of Disney are not about the place or the castle or an icon or even the food. Look, I can very easily point to the first day I brought my daughter and that image I have of her with ice cream all over her face on Main Street, USA, and my son's first ride, ever in a Disney park. But it's neither of those, right? Because the reason why I'm here, literally and figuratively, like behind the castle, talking to you guys, having the friendships that I have, is because of all the trips that I took with my parents year after year. And they blur, right? The dates blur, but I can see, like I have this mental picture of me in 1976 with my bad hair and my bad clothes and my red, white, and blue Mickey Mouse hat, and my dad carrying me and my brother like in Tomorrowland, like heading towards the Speedway, which I'm still not tall enough to drive. However, and now as a parent, like the only thing I'm carrying is my cream cheese pretzel. Like the kids, you guys are on your own. Like it was amazing to me, and it's that love that they gave me and they instilled in me, and this collective love that we have, not for this place, but for the memories that we shared. And I know that's like a totally lame answer, but it's the one from the heart, and it's the honest one.
No, it's not lame at all. And that's one thing that probably that's one of the blog posts that I need to write. Is to list those experiences. There are several of them, and yes, they're a mixture of the experience itself, and probably the top 10s are not related to attractions at all, and it's much more the whole interactions that everything have. I still can smell. I can feel the smell and remember it of the House of Magic and in Main Street,
which we visited recently.
Yeah,
the original House of Magic.
It is. That surprised me a lot, because I was expecting that Disneyland was also it changed as the Main Street in Disneyland changed as much as in Walt Disney World, but it's not. Most of the things there are still original, which is great. But the one thing that I just want to and then we're coming probably close to it's getting late for everybody here, but I just would like to ask every single of you to and for me it's an honor and it's a wonderful opportunity to have you guys together. Let me just explain to everybody one thing that is important. There is a Facebook group that we do have between us five. Oh, it's a messenger group. It's not a Facebook. It's a messenger group. That is helping me a lot. It is so good during these days when you see that. And it's funny because it's the only messenger group that I have. Brazilians are a little bit more for the WhatsApp. And I have plenty of groups in WhatsApp. And actually, there's another group that with my friends Eric and Alison that also helped me through a lot during these days. But I have to take the opportunity now to thank you because for me it's like it's the happy place. The happy place is when you have the interactions there is always funny. But I would like to take the opportunity to ask each one of you to address an audience that is still listening to you. They're quiet, but I can see the viewers here, and address an audience that probably is getting to know you better right now, and they're longing to be in groups or not as soon as possible here in Florida. So I would like to hear your message to the Brazilian and Portuguese speaking community that follows me. Let's start with Lisa.
Hey guys. So yeah, my blog, like Carlos said, is thecastlerun.com, and I'm on Instagram as the Castle Runner, and also on Facebook under those names as a group and a page. And on my blog and my presence is elsewhere. I was a big law attorney up until a number of years ago and walked away from all of that and kind of found my way down here. And so my content is primarily Disney focused, but at the same time, it's sort of through that lens of walking away from a life that wasn't working for me and embracing this life that is what calls to me and to my family and what brings us joy and does feel like our purpose and our right place. And so a lot of people follow me for Disney content, of course. I live right here, and it's sort of where I exist. I'm a runner. I do all the Run Disney stuff, and I share a lot of that as well. And I have 2 little boys, and that's a lot of my content. But again, there's a sort of a personal twist on all of that. I'm definitely not your go-to for sort of objective reporting of news. It's sort of more experiencing this life through my lens and embracing the life that calls to us. And there are people that, follow me that are just obsessed with Disney, and that's all that they're really interested in. And then there are people that follow my content that really don't care that much about Disney at all. They're more just inspired by the fact that we walked away from, something that might have been sort of more societally dictated into a life that called to us. And so whether you're Disney obsessed or you just are miserable in your current job and you'd rather, be on a potato farm in Idaho, I'm here to inspire you and empower you to do that. So that's who I am. I also have a candle shop called Core Memory Candles at corememorycandles.com that is all Disney inspired scents, and I've been very happy to have that for people at this time too, when we're all stuck at home and craving this place.
Oh yes, and it's amazing that the whole thing of smell, how can it bring you back to that place, and your candles are helping a lot me here. Buddy, Colin, it's your turn.
So first, thanks for this opportunity. It's always great to be able to reach a new audience in a different way, especially when it's an audience that we don't always get to reach as much as we'd like to, because there is somewhat of a language barrier there to some extent. But my site is mostly surrounded by the concept of going to Disney World, but looking at it from a different perspective. Than we're not going to look at it as far as let's ride as many attractions as we can. Instead, we're going to be looking for the little things that most people overlook. Little experiences, little things that are going to create memories for you and your family that can be far more lasting than any attraction that you ride or any particular touring plan you have. It's the resorts, it's the food, it's very different things, but looked at it from the perspective of the experience rather than a news reporting or anything like that. And on top of that, I do a lot of photography work from the Disney parks. I don't work for Disney directly, very few do, but I'm hoping to bring that home to some of you all too soon through potentially some print photos, digital downloads and stuff like that. So I'm working on that. That should be up sometime in the near future, but kind of give you a window to the world, for lack of a better word, and hope you appreciate some of the details of the things that you don't always get to see during the day. Some empty parks pictures, different stuff that you're not always going to see as the general guest, but if you stay an hour and a half after close, sometimes you'll get to see those things. But that's mostly my shtick. But see, I used your word, Lisa. I didn't know what it was for a while. But you can find me on Instagram as Guide4WDW. Most of my photography stuff goes up there, or on the site directly. I'm Guide4WDW everywhere. Colin Kendall on Facebook. I know. Window
to the world. Window to the world. What did you say? Window to the world, or something like that. I like that. I'm gonna write that down.
Me too. I know.
I like that a lot. Jason, here with the magic. I think first and foremost, I would say to everyone who hasn't encountered our stuff before, we're all on Facebook and Instagram, and we're all eminently approachable, and I won't hug anyone who doesn't want to be hugged, so don't worry about that. But you can find me Here with Magic on Facebook. We have a Facebook group as well, and we have a Instagram. I say we, like it's multiple people. It's me. It's just me. It's the royal we. Instagram site. But primarily, what I am doing is creating videos that through the immersive nature of it, I use 360 virtual reality and 180 3D, as well as traditional video and three-dimensional sound to bring people back. So much in the same way that I think we're all trying to do that, to help reconnect or connect for the first time folks who love Disney or are just curious about Disney with the parks and the resorts and other Disney-related spaces. Producing content that allows someone to see something maybe for the first time or experience a place in a different way from which they've experienced it before. It started as this little hobby. I mean, I was doing it for myself. I mean, we moved here. I was like, I'm going to capture more video. Instead of taking a lot of pictures, I'm going to do more video. And then I joked with my kids about starting a YouTube channel, and they were like, okay, whatever, Dad. And then I did that. And then, I got to talking to people like Lisa and Lou, and they said, that's something that I think people would be interested in. And so as of today, I think there's some, close to 70 videos out there.
Hello? I think
you froze.
We missed.
We could.
Oh, okay.
Did you lose? That was all the good stuff.
No, it was like the last 10 seconds.
Okay. I would say let me know what you'd like to see. If you're for those of you who aren't able to make it, or those of you who are longing to see something, I'd love to hear what it is that. Where your happy places are in the Disney space. So when we do get to go back, I can deliver that. To you.
I got to stop you for a second. There's 3 people: me, myself, and I. Not just one.
Lou, my friend.
So first things first, obrigado. Thank you so much for not just the conversation tonight, but the friendship that you and all of you have extended to me. I literally would not be here without you, and I'm a better person for knowing all of you guys. My story very quickly, I too was a lawyer who left it to talk about Disney before all the cool kids were doing it. Back in 2003, I wrote a trivia book, and next thing you know, I too am living here. I've been podcasting for 15 years about Disney and creating content that really at its very core is just talking about the things that make us happy about going to this place, and Disney and Marvel and Star Wars as well. You can find everything I do at wdwradio.com, and really the podcast is the heart, but the soul is really in the community. It's about and for and by and with you. And we have an amazing community over at www.radio.com/community. And I am also at Lou Mongello on the Twitter. People still on Twitter? People still on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and at LouMongello.com.
And Lou, one of the best moments in my Stu Short show's history is you pulling up this and revealing your jersey, my friend. That is amazing. That is amazing.
Wear it with pride.
Guys, thank you. And I have to repeat, it's not thank you for being here today. It's thank you. I have to first thank Lou, because he's not only a amazing friend, a good friend, someone that inspired us, but also brought me together with this other 3 wonderful friends, and other ones that we had the opportunity to meet at the Momentum and in the monthly meets. It is an amazing community. They are friends, and I don't know if you remember, Lou. A little bit before all that happened, I went to see you guys in the meet in the Epcot, and I repeated to you. I said I needed to be here because I'm missing being among friends, and you're the friends that I have, and after that I had that amazing trip with all of you. It was amazing. So I have to thank you each one of you. You're my brothers in arms and sister in arms. You're great. I will kindly ask you guys to wait just a little bit. I will just finish the live show here, and then I will return to the Skype chat room. Just wait a little bit. I will finish this briefly. My friends, amigos, amigas, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. I had a wonderful time. I'm sweating here because I was controlling every single screen here to make as nice as possible to my guests and my friends. Thank you very much. Again, if you don't know me, my name is Carlos. I run Ponto Miami and Ponto Orlando. Miami is obvious about South Florida. Orlando, it is not about Orlando. It is about Disney, and that's the whole thing. And thank you very much. You can follow me in Instagram. You can follow me in Facebook and YouTube website. Well, you can follow me. It would be great. And you can reach me throughout DMs, direct messages. I'm telling you, I'm the guy that loves to send hearts and kisses to everybody. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.